Hello again from Jeff's office to all you folks in YouTube land. I'm picking up a little bit more from a sermon that we had last Sunday where Jesus raises Lazarus from the tomb in John chapter 11, 1 through 45. And I just want to pick up one verse and go through this just a little bit. John 11, 25 and 26. Jesus said to Martha, I am the resurrection and the life. Those who believe in me, even though they die, will live, and everyone who lives and believes in me will never die. In the Greek, it goes kind of like this. Jesus to her said, I am anastasis, which means a rising up, a raising up. And the one who trusts in me will live. Even if they die, all who live and trust in me die not for eternity or the ages. That's my rough translation. The interesting term here to me is this term anastasis or anastasis. It's translated in the Latin as resurgere, which means to rise again. And that's where we get our word resurrection from. It was not a commonly used word in Greek. In fact, in some ways, I think that the New Testament created a new word, so to speak. It literally means from two words put together, ana, which means up or again, and stasis or stasis, which is stand. So it means to stand up again or to get up again or to stand up. And so there's nothing in this word that really refers to dying or death, other than in the context of this story. We have, as we said Sunday, this man Lazarus who dies, who Jesus knows is a friend. Jesus goes. He's been buried in a tomb, and Jesus tells Mary and Martha, his sisters, go ahead and roll the stone away. And when they say, well, he's going to smell bad, he says, well, I'm the resurrection and the life. And so they roll the stone away. Jesus says, Lazarus, come out. And he does, and he's alive again. And there's a few things I want to point out here. First of all, what is the nature of resurrection as far as Christian beliefs and theology? And I don't want to go too deep into the rabbit hole here, but there are some Christian groups who believe that everybody will have a bodily resurrection. And as I mentioned last Sunday, this comes from a passage in Ezekiel and other religions like Zoroastrianism who believe in this bodily coming forth out of the grave. The Apostle Paul, in his letter to the church in Corinth, says we're going to be changed. In his letter to the church in Thessalonica, in 1 Thessalonians chapter 4, he says, we'll be changed in an instant. So he doesn't seem to feel that this body is the same body we end up with in heaven. In the book of Revelation, it talks about a day of judgment where all the dead will appear. But the Gospel of Luke has an interesting story in chapter 16, where there is a poor man named Lazarus, who's a beggar, and a rich man who's not named at all. And they both die, and the rich man is in torment, and Lazarus is in paradise right after they die. So there's no waiting period. In fact, in Luke's gospel, when Jesus is on the cross, the thief says, Jesus, remember me when you come into your kingdom. And Jesus says, this day you will be with me in paradise. No waiting period, no sitting in the ground, just kind of snoozing until that day comes. And so there is some kind of discrepancy and variances of opinion as far as how we can read the Bible. Now, on Jesus' resurrection, we have stories where Jesus appears to his disciples, and then we have stories where Jesus is represented with an empty tomb, like the chapter 6, or I'm sorry, the end of Mark's gospel. In Mark's gospel, the original version doesn't have a post-resurrection appearance of Jesus. It merely has an empty tomb and two angels saying that he is risen. So there's two different stories here. And that's part of the reason that I really appreciate some of the research that's been going on to near-death experiences, because when people clinically die, they report coming back from some experience. Some of them report a life review where they are able to see the things that they didn't get right, and where they maybe hurt people or missed the mark while they were living in this life, and then a beautiful place that they are after they pass away. That gives me some feeling that afterlife is not necessarily attached to this body. It's not attached to waiting until some final picking up of all the pieces of bones we got and putting them back together like Ezekiel has it, but it's more immediate. And so I just wanted to go through some of those concepts with you, and I wanted to challenge you in one other way. In this whole chapter, we can look at it as a dying and standing again, a rising in our own life today. It isn't just about rising when we're dead, but for whatever circumstances that we have that cut us down, to be raised again, to rise again, is a form of resurrection. That happens even in this lifetime. And so I want to encourage you to realize that God is not just somebody who we wait for in the by and by when we die, but somebody who can raise us up above our circumstances, even in this life, not just the life to come. So keep tuning in. I hope you found this informative and helpful and encouraging, and check back here for other sermonettes later. Thanks.